We're going to kick off this afternoon just post-lunch talking about luxury fashion in India and what consumers' expectations are going to be and how brands and retailers are going to have to evolve. Joining me for the panel, I'd like to call Abhay Gupta, founder and CEO of Luxury Connect. Dinaz Madhukar, Executive Vice President, DLF Luxury Retail and Hospitality. Kalyan Kumar, Chief Merchandising Officer, Jabong. Rajendra Kalkar, President West for Phoenix Mills. Sachin Jain, President for Forevermark India. Samrat Zaveri, Managing Director, Shaze Luxury Retail. And to moderate the session, Mevin Merden, Luxury Brand Management Faculty at Instituto Marangoni.
Okay, hello, thank you. Good afternoon. So we'll get started straight away because I know some of the panelists need to leave early. So Instituto Marangoni has the pleasure of being the luxury insight partner today at the India Fashion Forum. And I'm Mevin Merden, and I'll be moderating the session today. I'm part of the faculty in London, and many people have been asking me about Instituto Marangoni so far. We have a short video, instead of me talking, to introduce Istituto Marangoni is an Italian institution of 83 years old, and we have just opened a campus now in Worli, Mumbai, and I think we have a little video for you.
I'm studying the Master of Fashion Design.
Everything is fashion.
Io studio interior design.
Io ho scelto interior design.
Enjoy. I love the school.
My name is Chris, I'm 20 and I'm from Barcelona.
Le stylisme. Je fréquente le cours de stylisme.
Studio fashion design.
The meaning of fashion.
I want to be a fashion designer.
Grande voglio fare progettista.
Thank you very much. So we'll get started with a rather general question. I've read a very interesting article on luxury society written by Mr. Gupta, and I wanted to ask you about the general state of luxury right now in India.
Thank you, Mevin. Luxury quite in paradox, and if one really historically tries to track, as per numbers, it is believed that it moved something like from a $2 billion to a more or less confirmed 18.6 or $7 billion to now announced last week by ASSOCHAM as heading towards, I think, a $30 billion by end of 2018, which really brings us to a question as where are the numbers coming from? Is it really fashion? Is it any other sector? So I think nobody really has the answers, and I would definitely want to ask maybe Mr. Amitabh Kant, who stands up and says at a luxury conference that is going to touch 180 billion in the next 10 odd years, which is very, very, very promising. But if you try to visualize it on reality scale, then I think fashion probably is the most minuscule contributor on the value pie, whereas the value could be coming from jewelry. I mean, leave aside the Nirav Modi scam gate, but jewelry could be a sector, watches could be a sector, automobiles, real estate, health and fitness, maybe travel, tourism, fine dining. Those are areas which are actually contributing to the luxury. So I would only say that if one wants to think luxury, one needs to think beyond fashion. While this is a fashion forum, so we need to be true to fashion as a subject, but we need to be true to luxury as a subject as well. So I believe the growth is only upward because luxury is now a complete lifestyle encompassing rather than just one particular sector.
Absolutely. Dinaz?
I'm only smiling because, yeah, what Abhay says partly is true. But we also see that I personally head two of the luxury malls in the country, which is Emporio and Chanakya. And I've seen some of the brands doing their best numbers ever in the last year. And that's surprising because it saw a lot of flux when we had initially the demonetization, then the capping on cash spend, then came the GST. So you saw a lot of variation, but suddenly, post-Diwali, it's like the numbers have turned. And secondary, I now see a lot more luxury brands keen to enter the country all over again. Because India as a market is a stable market. It's never going to be a China. It's never going to see those kind of enormous spends, but it's going to be a steady market. And what's happening is the consumer is getting younger and younger. They're experiencing luxury today at a younger age. It may be with their initial first buy of perfumes, sunglasses, wallets, the first handbag that they buy as a gift for themselves. But you see that they're becoming younger consumers, and it soon becomes a lifestyle. So by the time luxury becomes a lifestyle, we still have a couple of decades away, but luxury is a steady market in India, particularly in fashion.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Nope? No? Well, I wanted to have a bit of clarification in terms of the definition of luxury in India, because it seems that there's a bit of confusion in terms of what is luxury and what is not. Anyone wants to comment on that? Sachin?
Hi. So I think, this concept of confusion in luxury, I think you can really stem out when you say gems and jewelry as a business. Because, all of us consume gems, all of us consume luxury. You don't have to be rich or poor in our country to consume, jewelry as a category. Even then, what Abhay just mentioned about what is the size and is the $35 billion of jewelry that sells in the country, is it all luxury? Perhaps not. Is commoditization big? Yes, it's big. And is the move towards, luxury real? Yes, it is. So I think there is a sort of a consumer cycle happening in all different segments of it.
Yep.
So I have a slightly different view, the way I have observed the consumer in the last many years. I think the focus is shifting a little bit away from product and more to experiences. So, the definition of luxury by itself is changing, or rather has changed, at least in the West. In India, it should happen in the next few years. People are looking for more customization, more personalization. I think that's what luxury is all about, because things like a great product, great design, good service are all hygiene.
Anyone else? Yep, sure.
So you see, Mevin, if one wants to understand the concept of luxury, we'll really need to understand who in India consumes luxury. So luxury means different things to different people. It is subjective, it is relative, it is experience to someone, it is product to someone, it is a Jimmy Choo shoe for someone, it is probably taking a holiday to Paris for someone, it is probably having a cup of tea for someone. So luxury has different connotations and different definitions for different people. So through one study, we have researched there are 8 types of people consuming luxury in India, unlike maybe just 2 or 3 types worldwide. So India is really, it's not a country, it's actually a subcontinent, but it is more than a subcontinent in terms of types of languages, types of cultures, types of consumption patterns, and types of economies that we are living into. So every sector has its own definition of luxury, and even I think the structured reports are dividing India into several zones. And there's a graph by Radha Chadda which said that people pass through 5 stages of evolution when a market evolves. So people in different stages of evolution consume luxury in a different fashion. They perceive luxury in a different manner.
Thank you. Did you want to add something?
No, I would have the same approach. So because different categories in fashion and lifestyle, when you look at it, let it be clothing, let it be jewelry, let it be even watches, the same brand has different perceptions in each of the category for a consumer. Now, some of them on the clothing bit looks more on the luxury, but when it comes to accessory, it's more appropriate or reachable. It falls into the bridge to luxury kind of segment. So I completely agree.
Okay, so I think Mr. Gupta put it quite well in terms of subjectivity and context. I mean, a glass of water in the desert is luxury, but of course it needs to be divided into all the different segments, etc. So, can anyone comment on the tier cities in India and how they are evolving? Because I've read a lot about the metro cities and tier 1 and tier 2, completely different countries altogether, it looks like. No? Dinas?
I have
Yeah.
Yeah, so my only small experience in different cities in India is that, yes, a lot of Indian cities have a lot of individuals who have a lot of wealth, and some of them have wealth that has been created over many years, and some of them have accumulated in the recent past. But as far as luxury consumption is concerned, it's not about money. I think people have to have the exposure to be able to spend that kind of money on a utility product. So I see again that for luxury to penetrate into tier 2 and tier 3 cities in India is still going to be a distant event.
Thank you.
I think I'll take a slightly contrary view because, as Frevmark, we're present now in 44 cities in India, and the consumer exposure to in a small city is perhaps as vital, as real time than somebody in Bombay or perhaps even in New York. I mean, there are of course various platforms by which people acquire the knowledge, but the readiness to consume brands and hence perhaps luxury is ready. I mean, I agree to Samrat about whether there's an infrastructure ready in these markets, perhaps there's a long way to go. But readiness of a consumer, the moment I believe that as a brand, if you have different strategies for tier 8, tier 2, tier 3 markets, keeping in mind that the consumer could be very different, perhaps is a wrong thing because consumers are ready, they're very well exposed.
Yeah, I've read somewhere that actually the tier city consumers are more towards the aspirational brands rather than the metro cities. But do you agree with this, Dinas?
I want to answer
Yep.
it. Luxury basically is all about an experience. And the experience can be the history of the brand, it can be the quality of the product, it can be anything. And in India, by and large, luxury consumption is mainly concentrated in Delhi and Mumbai still. The reason I say that is I've been 24 years in hotels as well. And of course, there are occasions when you're celebrating at hotels, and that also counts as luxury. But when it is the actual consumption of the product, people want to experience it for multiple reasons. One of the prime ones being because you want to show that you have reached that Achillean and therefore you can have it. And that is very predominant up north. So you find any international luxury brand, and I'm talking now from the perspective of retail. I'm talking from whether it's apparel, accessories, jewelry. It tends to be heavier in north because you need to show that you've arrived in life and therefore it is there. So any international brand entering the country wants to enter through Delhi. The second consumption pattern then gets concentrated in Mumbai. Mumbai is more about self-consumption. And this is a conversation we were having just a little earlier, because there's always the tee-off between Mumbai and Delhi, but I'm a Mumbaiker, by the way. And Mumbai, it's all about self-consumption. It's because you appreciate it, you want it, and you want to possess that product, and you want to show it because you have it. It's not about you want to show it to someone else, but you want to enjoy it for yourself. So Mumbai becomes the second. Mumbai is a heavier market from the perspective of Bollywood, because Bollywood is a huge influence. But Delhi is more about being the political capital, having more things happening where you need to showcase your worth, and therefore it's heavy there. So you see a concentration. It's not that it's not there in the other cities.
Yeah.
But do the other cities merit a luxury hub like maybe even a smaller Chanakya? No. Because on a day-to-day, I mean, a store cannot survive just on that one purchase that's going to happen, or those 5 families that are going to purchase. They may all have the bandwidth to be able to buy the best vehicles. They may have the bandwidth to buy the best vacations for themselves.
Yep.
But are they going to invest in that kind of consumption of retail? No. It's not going to happen on a day-to-day basis, because where is the opportunity to wear it, to showcase it?
Yeah.
You need to keep that in mind as well. I've attended parties in Chennai on a beach which says dress to impress. And I promise you, I've seen a person wearing a Versace dress with diamonds on the beach.
Wow. Okay.
Versace, a brand you were associated with earlier. So it does happen, but you also have an LV that shuts shop in Chennai. So you need to keep that in mind when you're talking about consumption and luxury in India.
Thank you. Mumbai.
Yeah, but you know, our experience has been from tier 2 and tier 3 cities, Palladium, Mumbai, and now Palladium, Chennai is having a completely different experience. We are finding on weekends a lot of customers from far-off cities, whether it's Pune, Nasik. I'm talking about Mumbai first. So Pune, Nasik, Ahmedabad, Baroda, Surat, Raipur. From all those cities, we find customers coming in the weekend, staying at St. Regis and doing a lot of luxury shopping. And it's not one family, 2 family. They actually come in hordes of 10 family and friends together, booking room nights in St. Regis for 2 nights, 3 nights, and actually enjoying Mumbai and doing the luxury shopping.
Wow.
In the last month when we've opened Chennai, we have seen the same experience. A lot of customers we have found coming from Coimbatore, Mysore, Hubli, Tirupur. A lot of customers from those cities also have been coming up to Chennai now. So, yes, what everybody says that can tier 2 cities have a hub for retail, for luxury? Maybe it's too early. But I don't think that the volume of luxury is so less as we all are having a perception about. That's my view from the shopping centers that we run on luxury.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, absolutely. Abhay?
Just to add to this is on an online shopping behavior as well. When we look at certain price points on the luxury side that sells in a metro or a tier 1, tier 2 city, we don't see much of differences in terms of the overall ticket values or the price points that actually happens, which also says like there is consumer in the tier 2 markets who are actually available, but yes, the number of consumers are relatively lower. No, but then we don't see affordability or concern with that with the consumer.
Interesting.
So I would like to add to all that the other panelists have said. You see, if one looks at a very quick history of India, the caste system broke down completely to nobody was, let's say, superior to anyone by virtue of being a caste by a birth. So a Brahmin was considered superior, or Sahuka was considered superior. That broke down completely post the subjugation phase was over about 70 years back. Suddenly, everyone has the opportunity to make money. Money became the biggest denominator of saying, I'm more powerful. So if you need to show I'm more powerful, you can only show it by driving an Aston Martin, for example, wearing Nirav Modi jewelry, for example, or living in St. Regis, for example, or driving a Cadillac or whatever that is. So if that becomes the biggest motivator for a large sum of Indian population, I would still not say all, because we have had, there's a section of society which is, for them, luxury is a way of life. When it is a way of life, they are already fitted into, it's their daily lifestyle. We have people who are carried forward from kings and queens and, the Ambani families and the Gandhi families. It's a way of life for them. But for the rest of us, it's a way of showing that I am more powerful than you. I can only show it by wearing a Versace dress on the beach. So that be, right?
With diamonds.
That's the psychological.
And not Neerav Modi wasn't existing then as a brand.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Actually, one of the authors talk about luxury being extraordinary for the ordinary and ordinary for the extraordinary. Well, that brings us to actually the elite of the luxury consumers. Do they travel to shop or do they shop locally?
Initially, when we opened Emporio, there was always a doubt because people were used to going abroad and shopping and coming in. There was also a doubt that India may be used as a dumping ground by some of the brands because we don't know if this is the latest season. With the advent of social media, with the advent of everything that's happening, you see brands like Burberry and all now live casting their walkways as they're happening in Milan, in Paris. They showcase them in India as well. They showcase them all over the world. So you know what is the latest season, and therefore now there's a comfort. Also, initially there was a price disparity because of the taxation structure, etc. So you always found that you imagined that India was more expensive. But with all the changes that have happened, all the retail brands have themselves told me that India today is one of the most lucrative markets as far as the taxation. And for a little bit, before the custom tax came in further on the watches were cheapest in India. In the interim right now, when the GST rate dropped for watches, and before the custom duty went up by 10%, watches were cheapest in India. And apparel and accessories today are cheaper or at par with Dubai, with Singapore, etc. So people are more comfortable buying here. But yes, there was an apprehension initially. And now people don't need to wait for going abroad. They prefer and they're comfortable shopping here. And you see that in the numbers that are increasing year on year.
Yeah, I think that was one of the comments.
Yeah, and just to add value to this, Mumbai is perhaps one of the hub for the maximum number of billionaires in India. Mumbai is also the hub for the old money, where the real connoisseurs of luxury are staying. In the last 8 years, maybe initially we did face that challenge that how to convert that connoisseur into a real buyer and not make him shop abroad. Today, I think in the last 3 years, we do feel that most of the consumers do shop within India. And the trips abroad are restricted now to holidays and experiences rather than actually shopping. And maybe the dining experience is still not yet developed in India, but I think shopping experience in India has developed to a large extent.
And just to add on the gems and jewelry business, I think the real luxury space, this big consumption that happens real time in India, as a perhaps a high-end family, the names that Abhay mentioned, you could perhaps own over a trip a Cartier small ring or something like that, but real serious pieces are bought here. And when I say luxury, I'm saying there's a premium given to respect for creativity, and the consumption is real, and that happens here in the country.
But I think it's a matter of time to, the needle moves and more people start buying luxury products in India because it's, yes, a lot of luxury consumers travel internationally maybe 5 to 6 times a year and prefer buying internationally. The experience is different. But I think people are getting busier, and the concept of comparing prices and waiting to get something later rather than having it immediately is changing. So people are going to start consuming locally a lot more.